Hello, this is Ginny Brant with Unleash Your God-Given Healing. I've got a great interview for you today with Rebecca Keener on Atlanta Live. Rebecca has interviewed me several times, and she's just a great interviewer who is always prepared beforehand, and it shows during the interview. You will love this interview because it's going to hone in specifically on preventing and surviving breast cancer. So join Rebecca and me for this interview centered on breast cancer. Enjoy.
Next on our set, she is no stranger to WATC. She's been with us several times, and I've just enjoyed meeting her and knowing her through the years now. And she's written two really great books. She's written one book called Finding True Freedom from the White House to the World, which she wrote about her experience growing up in and around the White House. Her father was assigned to the White House. What a fabulous story that is, and I said we need more time on that. But tonight we're going to be focusing on her new book, Unleash Your God-Given Healing, 8 Steps to Prevent and Survive Cancer. Would you welcome, please, Ginny Dent Brant. Thank you so much for being here, Ginny.
Great to be here again.
It's great to have you, and you're looking lovely. So you are a breast cancer survivor.
Yes, I call it a breast cancer thriver.
Thriver, I like
I think I'm actually healthier afterwards than I was before because I learned some lessons through the School of Hard Knocks.
Tell us a little bit about when you were diagnosed and your testimony.
Well, it was a difficult time. I was diagnosed 4 months after my mother died from breast cancer. And I was actually with my husband doing the Cooper River Bridge run. It was that night after that my ring got caught in my nightie, and as I was trying to free it, I felt a lump. And I was kind of surprised. And I immediately looked into it, but I didn't think it was anything because I didn't have the risk factors, the normal risk factors for breast cancer. But the first shock came when I got the call, and they said, it's cancer.
Oh, wow.
And then the next shock was the next week when more test results came back, and they said, it's not just cancer, it's aggressive. Nobody wants to hear that.
Right.
But about 10 days later, after the MRI came back, the surgeon called me to meet with him, and he said, Ginny, it's worse than we thought. It looks like it's planted other tumors, and it's in your lymph nodes and other parts of your body.
Wow.
Well, I didn't believe him, and I said, I feel fine. You show me that MRI, because I wanted to verify that it was my body on that MRI.
And you are a really health-conscious person.
I was. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so I looked up, and it looked like a tornado had invaded my body, and then I realized, with all the identifying information on the MRI, that it was me. Well, that drove my husband and I to our knees even further. And we said, Lord, guide us, direct us, and provide healing.
Yeah.
And in looking back, he was there all along, never left my side.
Wow.
He was opening doors, and he was guiding us and showing us things we needed to see. We kept saying, Lord, what have we done? You know, what have I done personally to help cause this? A lot of people blame God. Let me tell you, I did not blame God. I learned early in life that God is for us. He is not against us.
Amen.
And when things go wrong, we need to look at ourselves. And so I learned from my dad's journey with Alzheimer's that it's mainly a lifestyle disease. And as I investigated cancer on this quest, I realized that cancer is also 90% a lifestyle disease. I needed to make changes. I needed to figure out what I did. But that diagnosis also drove me to get one of the best things I recommend to all the cancer patients that I mentor. You want to get a second opinion. Because I flew to Chicago to get that second opinion at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. And when they looked at that same MRI, 2 surgeons and 2 radiologists said, I don't think all of this is cancer. A lot of it is, some of it is not. It's inflammation.
Wow, interesting.
Caused from a biopsy that happened to go bad, which doesn't usually happen to people. It's just one of those things, unfortunately.
Right.
And that gave me some hope. But that diagnosis sent me on a quest to figure out, number one, what caused my cancer? In someone who was trying to be a health nut and avoid getting cancer, number one, and number two, what could I do to be part of the cure? What could I do to help my doctors beat the cancer and lessen the side effects of all the treatments they were bringing before me that I wanted to close the door on, but unfortunately the doors had to open to save my life. And so that quest, as God was guiding me, it's like he was pulling back the curtain on cancer for me to show me what I needed to change. And that's why I'm just adamant about sharing with people today. If I knew back then what I knew now, I don't believe I would have gotten breast cancer.
Wow. And really, it's become part of your life's mission to help and encourage those who are facing that same diagnosis.
It certainly has, for all cancers, but specifically for breast cancer, because 1 in 8 women today are being diagnosed with breast cancer. And it should not be that many women. And the interesting thing is that, like me, 80% of them are estrogen fed. Estrogen dominance is playing a role. I also had the aggressive nature of the cancer on top of it, so the treatments were multiplied. You know, there was just so many treatments that I had to do because of the two combined.
So you took traditional medicine, the course of traditional medicine, the chemotherapy, and you incorporated the holistic medicine as well, and you've come out on the other side victorious.
I put the two together.
Yeah.
Because I realized with the research I was doing that God created our body to heal on an everyday basis, that there must be something I was doing if cancer developed in time.
Okay, let's share some of that. Prevention as well as some of the treatments.
One of the things that I found out, and it was just purely by the providence of God, it's not something I was really searching for. One of my integrative doctors said back home, after I finished the chemotherapy, for a year of chemotherapy and immunotherapy, that is the longest anyone can undergo it for, with the most chemicals. She said, you're a toxic dump. And we need to get these, the sooner we can get these chemicals out. So if you hydrate and you exercise and keep on doing that, great. Why don't you look at joining a sauna club or getting an infrared sauna in your home? Sweat it out.
Wow.
So I did.
And that drains your lymphatic system.
That's right. The exercise pumps the lymphatic system to help it drain. The hydration also does that, but then you sweat it out. Your skin is your largest detox organ. You have 5 God gave you to filter out all these toxins. Mine had been poisoned, my whole system. And so I bought the sauna, and the sauna company calls me and says, would you be willing to be part of a clinical trial? And I said, well, sure, you're going to track what's coming out of me, right? And they said, yeah. I had no idea what was in my body at high levels until they did the first test.
Wow.
15 toxic chemicals showed up in the 90th and above percentile in my body, and most of them were endocrine disrupting chemicals, or xenoestrogens, which was driving my cancer. Because my own estrogen levels were already determined before I got cancer, and they were not out of whack. It made no sense until we got those test results back. And so as the clinical trial was, testing me, I could see the levels begin to come down.
Wonderful.
It took a while, but I am now in the green zone. All of us, we live in a toxic world, and that's one of the things I learned from the cancer journey. But those toxic chemicals, through what we drink, water, drinking from plastic bottles, too much, occasionally, okay. But on an everyday basis, you're getting the plastics, and they are xenoestrogens, okay?
Okay.
And then the pesticides we're using on crops, they used to not use years ago. I wouldn't have believed this had I not looked and saw it in a color graph on the paper that I had high levels of glyphosate, an Agent Orange pesticide, and I did not serve in Vietnam.
Wow.
So that didn't make any sense. But they are, these pesticides are known as xenoestrogens, endocrine disrupting hormones, which can help to drive cancer.
Wow.
Now, the interesting thing is, one of my oncologists was reading my book and commenting about it, and he said, I really like the chapters on lowering your toxic load, because I'm seeing as an oncologist how this is driving many men's and women's cancers today. Men that get breast cancer, 90% of them are estrogen fed. Okay, so that estrogen is not just coming from within their body.
Wow.
It's coming from the outside in, possibly
And
as
you
well.
write about that in detail in this
Yes,
book, don't
I
you?
do.
Now, one thing that I read, this really touched my heart when I read this about you, that you did 2 miles. You walked 2 miles before a chemo treatment and after a chemo treatment, and on the days in between.
And every day in
That
between.
really
I also did it after my first surgery with 100 stitches.
Wow.
And my second surgery, I walked 2 miles on the hospital floor.
Wow.
I did it to relieve stress, okay? I would later find, well, of course, when I went back after surgery, my surgeon and other surgeon, both of them came in and said, we're releasing you early, and all those tubes you were supposed to go home with, we're pulling them today. Your husband's not going to have to babysit those tubes coming from your body for
Praise
2
the
weeks
Lord.
because your lymphatic system's already taken care of it
Oh,
because
that's
of your
so good.
exercise. Plus, you pumped the anesthesia out, prevented blood clots.
Yeah.
A lot of chemo and drugs that are used in cancer and in general, basically, can cause blood clots. And so you want to keep moving during the cancer journey. What's interesting is after I did that and came through chemo with flying colors, I mean, I didn't get emaciated, I didn't get sick, I felt great, you know, almost the entire time.
They called you a superstar patient.
They were like,
didn't
we don't have patients do this,
they?
you know?
Wow, that's the
And-
power of God,
Well, it
too.
really is because God was leading me to do these things even though I didn't understand why. So it was
Wow.
His providence, not my knowledge.
That's the Holy Spirit, how He
Well, are you ready for
leads
this?
us. Yeah.
After chemo's over, one of my doctors says to me a year later, we've never seen anyone go through chemo like you, but did you see the research in Australia? And I said, no. She said 30 entities came together, cancer research entities, to make one statement about exercise and how powerful it is for the cancer patient to prevent it to begin with, to get you through all the treatments, and to prevent it from coming back.
Yeah.
And then about a year later, MD Anderson had a study with mice showing that the mice who had a moderate exercise routine, they weren't running a marathon, I wasn't running a marathon,
Right.
they did better with the chemo and it targeted their cancer better.
Wow.
And it's pumping that lymphatic system so all those toxins are not building up in your system along with the hydration.
Yeah.
So again, it's putting the holistic and the practical with the conventional to get a better prognosis.
That is so good. Wow. And you look phenomenal now. You are more than a conqueror over cancer. Let's talk a little bit about maybe those people who are trying to change their diet to help combat. I know you did some things and you write about that in your book.
I have several chapters on using food as medicine. It is powerful. Now, I'm not going to say that I did just that and my cancer all went away. But as far as preventing cancer and adding to what the doctor's doing, you eat blueberries, it helps cut off the blood supply to cancer tumors.
Oh, that's good.
Flax seeds helps lower the aggressive estrogens. Cruciferous vegetables help lower those aggressive estrogens.
Raw or cooked or what?
Either.
Okay.
But every plant in God's kingdom reduces your risk for cancer. They're all cancer fighting. They have phytochemicals and antioxidants and fiber, and all these things work together to nourish our gut. And your gut is where 70% of your immune system lies. So you got to figure after chemotherapy, your gut is shot. It's destroyed. You think antibiotics destroys your gut? Chemotherapy is worse, especially when you've had it for a year. But my naturopathic doctors at the Cancer Center were giving me things to help protect my gut. And then after it was all over, I completely rebuilt and renourished my gut with foods that God gave Adam and Eve, to be perfectly honest.
Wow.
So God had us in mind when He created man, when He created the food, and that food was plants. So I learned from that, eat more plants. There's value in every plant in God's kingdom.
Yeah, love that. And all of that is in your book, too. This is just full of just years of research that you and your husband did.
Thousands of hours of research that I don't regret because it's helped a lot of people, and it certainly helped me to have a much better prognosis. Usually people that go through the chemo I went through have a suppressed immune system for 2 to 5 years. Sometimes their immune system never totally comes back. Mine was back in 6 weeks.
Wow.
It's a difference when you are part of the cure.
That's supernatural. And
Yeah.
that's the leading of the Holy Spirit. Hey, we've just got just a few minutes. I know the Lord's using you around the world, even through Zoom conferences, to just encourage those people and do who are facing cancer diagnosis and to do prevention. Information sessions. Tell us a little bit about how people can get in touch with you and some of the things that you have, groups you've been addressing.
Well, in the last few weeks, I've done a Zoom podcast in Mumbai, India, and then one this week in Perth, Australia.
What are their cancer rates compared to us in the United States?
You know,
are they
I
lower
don't know,
or
but I know
higher?
that America is among the highest in Alzheimer's and in cancer.
Interesting.
But people can reach me at my blog and my website at www.Ginny, G-I-N-N-Y, Brant, BRANT.com. I do have a blog where I post weekly about new research and interesting things about fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and
That's
just
good.
whatever comes across my desk, because I follow about 25, 30 doctors. And so all the new research somehow comes to me, and then I investigate further and write a blog post about it.
That's
and
good.
so that's the best place to go to keep. And you can also email me from there. There's a contact page.
I'm going to check out your blog. That sounds fantastic, and I want to encourage everybody at home, check out her blog and get this great information. You know, she did all the work to research it for us, and we can just go on and benefit from it. So tell us what's coming up in the future. What have you got on your plate to do?
Well, I'm still doing podcasts and interviews and some magazine articles.
Good.
Just trying to get the word out there. I'm starting to Zoom with bookstores because some bookstores are still closed down or they can't do the normal book signings and things like that.
Yeah.
So we're doing things through Zoom where cancer patients can learn and then ask questions. But my main focus is, hey, let's don't get this cancer to begin with. Realize 1 in 2 people today are getting cancer in this generation born today. 1 in 8 women are getting breast cancer.
Wow.
Put a plan of prevention in place. Do not wait until you get a diagnosis. And all those doors are opening one by one that you don't want open.
That's so good. And this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October, the month of October. That's why we planned a year ago with Charlotte, our producer, for you to be here with us tonight. And how important is it for us as women to get those mammograms?
It is important, but you need to ask your radiologist next time you go, or the technician, do I have dense breast?
Okay.
3 mammograms missed my cancer.
Oh, wow.
It's because I have dense breast, and 30, 40, some people say 50% of women have dense breast. If you do, then you need to be pushing your doctor to use something, either the 3D mammogram or the ultrasound, sometimes an MRI if breast cancer is in your family.
Okay.
So they have to use different things on me. My oncologist doesn't even trust the 3D mammogram on me.
Wow. Excellent information. Everybody get her book, Unleash Your God-Given Healing, 8 Steps to Prevent and Survive Cancer, from Ginny Brant, and she is a phenomenal guest. She'll be back with us again, I'm sure. I hope
I'd
you
love
will.
to.
That'd be great. God bless you, Ginny, and thank you for helping so many people with a very important topic here tonight.